Knicks fans, I need to hear from you on this one because this situation is starting to get very interesting. As the New York Knicks head into one of the most important off-seasons in recent franchise history, there's a growing question surrounding the future of several role players on this roster. And one name that keeps coming up is Landry Shamet. Before we get into it, make sure you hit that like button if you believe this Knicks team is built to compete for another championship. And drop a comment below telling me right now, should the Knicks do everything possible to keep Landry Shamet, or is it time to move on? Now, let's talk about what's really happening. The Knicks have assembled one of the strongest rosters in the NBA. They climbed to the top, they proved they could compete with anybody, and they built a culture that players genuinely want to be a part of. But success comes with a price. The deeper a team goes, the harder it becomes to keep everyone together. Players who were once viewed as role players suddenly become valuable assets around the league. Other teams notice. General managers notice. And before you know it, the players who help build a championship contender are getting offers that are difficult to refuse. That brings us to Landry Shamet. Last season, Shamet reportedly had opportunities elsewhere. There were chances to pursue larger contracts and potentially secure a bigger role. Instead, he chose New York. He chose to compete. He chose to be part of a winning culture. And honestly, that's something Knicks fans should appreciate. Not every player is willing to sacrifice money for a chance to win. In today's NBA, most players are understandably focused on maximizing earnings, especially role players who don't have superstar contracts waiting for them. That's why this situation feels so complicated. On one hand, Shamet has absolutely earned the right to pursue the biggest contract available. Nobody should criticize him for taking care of himself and his family. On the other hand, if he truly believes this Knicks team can continue competing for championships, there may be an opportunity to follow the example set by the team's leader. And that example is Jalen Brunson. Let's be honest for a second. How many superstars in today's NBA willingly leave money on the table? Very few. Brunson made a decision that sent a message throughout the entire organization. He showed that winning mattered. He showed that building something special mattered. That decision didn't just impact the salary cap. It impacted the culture. It told every player in that locker room that sacrifice is part of the process if you want to create something bigger than yourself. And that's where I start getting a little frustrated. Because if you're a Knicks fan, you've waited years for this franchise to become a legitimate powerhouse again. Years. We've watched rebuilds fail. We've watched stars come and go. We've watched seasons fall apart before they ever got started. Now the Knicks finally have stability. They finally have leadership. They finally have a front office that seems to know exactly what it's doing. And now we're sitting here talking about the possibility of losing valuable contributors because success has made the roster too expensive. That's the reality of the modern NBA. But it doesn't make it any less frustrating. Let me know in the comments. If you were Landry Shamet, would you take less money to stay with a championship contender, or would you take the highest offer available? I genuinely want to know where Knicks fans stand on this. Personally, I think there are valid arguments on both sides. If Shamet receives a major offer from another team, nobody should blame him for accepting it. At the same time, if he finds a way to remain in New York on a team-friendly deal, his value to this organization could go far beyond what shows up in the box score. Championship teams aren't built solely around stars. They're built around depth. They're built around chemistry. They're built around players understanding their roles and embracing them. And that's exactly what we've seen from this Knicks roster. The bigger concern for me is what this situation says about the future. Because Shamet isn't the only player involved. Every championship contender eventually reaches this crossroads. Do you keep the roster together? Do you let role players walk? Do you trust your front office to find cheaper replacements? Those are difficult questions, even for the smartest organizations. Fortunately, if there's one thing that should give Knicks fans confidence, it's the front office. Time and time again, they've found ways to improve the roster when people thought they were stuck. Time and time again, they've identified talent. Time and time again, they've made moves that looked questionable at first but paid off later. That's why I'm not panicking. Concerned? Sure. Curious? Absolutely. But panicking? Not yet, because this front office has earned the benefit of the doubt. Still, I can't help but think keeping as much of this core together as possible should be the priority. When you have a championship-caliber group, sometimes continuity matters more than people realize. Sometimes the chemistry you've already built is worth more than the unknown alternatives waiting on the market. And that's why this offseason could be one of the most important we've seen in years. The decisions made over the next several weeks could shape the future of this franchise. Can the Knicks keep enough of their championship core intact? Can they navigate the financial challenges ahead? Can they continue building around a culture that has transformed this team into one of the NBA's elite organizations? Those are the questions every Knicks fan should be asking. And now I want to hear from you. Do you think Landry Shamet should follow the example set by Jalen Brunson? Should the Knicks prioritize bringing him back? Or do you trust the front office to find another solution if he leaves? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're enjoying daily New York Knicks coverage, make sure to like this video, subscribe to Knicks News, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. This offseason is just getting started, and trust me, Knicks fans, the biggest stories may still be ahead of us.